What is that?
It's like a squirrel with a unicorn head on it. Gifts for teens. It's only $40.
I'm confused. We're recording right now, by the way. What? But like for like an actual squirrel, or does it come with the squirrel?
Unicorn squirrel feeder.
Why is the internet so weird? Hey guys, I'm C.
I'm Key.
And welcome to Girls, Ghosts, and Ghouls. Woo! We're on episode number 4, and yeah, it's been an interesting week.
Why has it been an interesting week, Kira?
Oh God! So I'm being haunted, pretty sure at least, because if anyone listened to our last episode, you may have heard what happened at the end of the episode where all of our...
We died.
We're still alive. We did not. We are talking to you from beyond the grave. The ultimate ghost podcast. Oh, stop. No, that's not what happened. But all of our audio equipment went crazy, and this mysterious sound appeared while we were recording and freaked us out. Then when I tried to go back and edit it, shortly after, the same thing was happening. That weird sound was appearing on all of the recording. So I was like, I'm taking a break from this. And then I went back the next day and there was nothing. You can still hear our audio equipment screw up at the end, but the weird sound that freaked us out in the first place was totally gone. So that freaked us out. Second, I thought, after that happened, it would be a fun idea to download the Ghost Radar app because I've seen some people using it and thought, why the hell not? But that might have been a bad idea because I was using it in my bedroom in my apartment and there was some ghostage happening there, some ghost speakage. They were saying some things, some words were coming through. I don't know. Anyway, so I was like, well, that's interesting. Then I left to go shopping, and when I pulled up my car, I had my auxiliary cable plugged into my phone.
My auxiliary
cable.
Aux cord.
My aux cord. Whatever. Plugged into my phone, listening to and that's why we drink, actually. That's what I was listening to. But I shut that off and turned everything off. I unplugged my phone from the cable, but I left the cable plugged in. And when there's nothing playing, there's kind of that staticky noise. So that was what was happening. And I was just sitting there kind of checking everything on my phone. And I swear to God, through the static, I heard not once,
"Get out,"
but twice, someone say, "Get out." And I got out of my car and I freaked the fuck out. But, so, I may have summoned a ghost and I think it might be following me. But, that aside, it's been a great week. Not really.
Otherwise, everything's fine.
Other than being haunted and possibly needing an exorcism, just kidding, not possessed. So that's what happened. Anything spooky happen to you, Keelan, other than the tent situation?
No.
No, that's good. So it's just me then.
I still have bruises, but...
Yeah, but you will always have bruises. You are like a peach. You bruise easily. Today, we are covering... What?
That place in Ottawa.
That place in Ottawa that I have...
Which is in Canada.
In Canada, but it's not... This is not our local episode. This is just in Canada, and it's cool because I've actually been here, so...
I haven't.
She hasn't. She won't go, probably. I should have convinced you to go without telling you that it was haunted. But still. Anyways, the place that we're going we're not going, I've already been. The place we're talking about is the Ottawa Jail Hostel in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, which is the capital of Canada. It used to be called the Carleton County Jail, and other people now refer to it as the Nicholas Street Jail because it is on what?
What? Because it's a jail.
On Nicholas
Nicholas Street.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
You weren't listening. I just said they call it the Nicholas Street Jail because, and then you didn't answer. It's fine. Whatever. So, yeah, this is called one of, if not the most haunted building in Canada, which, makes sense. It's an old school jail. Canada. It was constructed between 1860 and 1862 in Ottawa.
Makes sense.
So it opened in 1862, and it was considered really like state of the art at the time, and they called it a very spacious and airy building to replace the wretched and poisonous basement where they were keeping criminals nearby, which I think was like the basement of the police building or a government building. It wasn't a legit jail. It was basically a basement with a bunch of cells. So they were like, no, we need a legit state-of-the-art jail. But the thing is, when they said it was like the most state-of-the-art and modern, it didn't mean like luxurious. They meant like it was the best place to torture people, basically. Yeah. As they did in those times. So it replaced the old jail, which had been there for 20 years. And then this one served as a jail up until 1972. So over 100 years people were staying here. It's a really big stone building with a lot of floors and a basement. It kind of, like when you first drive by, it kind of looks abandoned now. It's got vines growing all over it, and especially in the winter, like the vines are dead. There's nothing on them, so it just looks really like ominous and creepy. But it is not
the best kind.
Abandoned. People pay to stay there now, which, that's fun. So it's got 4 floors, where like 4 cell floors, and then the basement. Which now, the basement, when you go and you stay there, the basement's like the common room where you can go read books, watch TV, whatever. And then it's attached to a separate room, which is now a bar that they've called Mugshots. And in the morning, because you get your breakfast with your hostel or whatever, you go down there and that's where you eat breakfast. And then at night, it opens up and it's a bar. The week that I stayed there, they were doing hip hop karaoke, which you'd think would be fun, except there's no like air conditioning or anything in this building because it's so old. So they had all the windows open to get air in. And I was literally like laying in my cell bed listening to people butcher hip hop karaoke until 2 a.m. And I was like, what is happening right now? I mean, I guess that's better than having to deal with a ghost.
True.
Yeah. Anyways, so it was a jail for over 100 years. It housed prisoners that included men, women, and children. Their worst offenders would be starved because they only served food once a day. So you didn't get like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You
was
got
it like high security?
I mean, yeah, you weren't allowed to leave your cell. There was not no yard time or anything like that. It was like
What?
You were in your cell.
How are you going to get your exercise?
That's not a thing that they were concerned about. Like literally you were in your cell and they only served you food once a day. And if you were like a really bad, like worst offender, like I don't know what that qualified in the 1800s. Like you stole some bread one time and now we're never feeding you again. But if you killed someone, don't worry, you'll still get your square meal.
That makes sense. That's fair.
That's fair. So they would starve them and they wouldn't give them their one meal a day. Most of the women and children that were in prison there, though, weren't like real criminals. They were kind of criminals. They were just from poor families and they'd either stolen something or they couldn't pay their debts because they'd borrowed so much to like feed their family or clothe them or whatever. And sometimes they would put like an entire family in the jail together and just like keep them in a cell. They weren't really given things to do. Like, in jail now they have like jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Like license plate making. I don't know if that's a thing in Canada, but I've seen that.
License plate making?
Like in Orange and the New Black, they make like underwear and lamps and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, like some places they make license plates. Like the license plates we put on our cars.
Yeah, I know what license plates are.
No, but prisoners are making those. I mean, I don't know if they're making ours, but just in general. Anyway, like basically you were in your tiny cell and sometimes if you weren't like a terrible criminal, they would shut down the whole cell block and you could walk up and down in like the hallway. But that was only like a really like, that was more lenient of them. Otherwise, you were in your cell basically the whole time. They had no heat, no electricity, no ventilation other than the windows, which are totally barred, but you can open them from like the inside, but so you can't get out of them, but you can open them. And they had no toilets because, I don't know, 1862.
Toilets are overrated.
Yeah, so I don't really know, like, where did they go to the bathroom? The corner, probably.
The floor.
The floor. Gross. Oh, did they make them live in their own feces? Probably.
No, you pick a corner.
Everyone go in this corner.
Literally.
By the door. Pee on the guard. And then get yourself
and then
killed.
you get tortured.
Yeah.
God, no.
Anyway, surprisingly, this prison remained open that way, like literally that way, until 1972. It got switched to a hostel where you could pay to stay there only 2 years later, so 1974, and they obviously couldn't have done a lot of renovation in that time. When I went there, it was totally different, but originally when it opened, you didn't stay in the cells, you stayed in like the hallways, and they basically just lined the hallways with all of these bunk beds, and you would sleep in the hall on a bunk bed, and then you would just keep your stuff in the cells, like your bags and stuff. When I went there, which was a couple years ago, you actually sleep in the cell. I stayed on the 4th floor in cell number 3, which was a 6-person cell. So you walk in and there's literally this narrow, tiny door, which is metal bars, which was a cell. It's been blacked out behind with like a piece of black wood so that the light only comes in at the bottom and the top. And then you open that up and walk in, and there's 2 bunk beds right when you walk in, some lockers. And then you turn, and then there's what was another cell. They knocked down the wall between it, and then they have 2 more bunk beds on one side and 2 more bunk beds on the other side. And so all 6 of you are staying together in that one room, and then it locks from the inside and from the outside with the key. So once you're in there, what was once designed to keep people out is now designed to keep people in. So it actually, like, although it gave me a really creepy feeling when I walked in, like it was really damp and like I got this like chill. It felt pretty secure. Like I might have been worried about like ghosts, but I wasn't worried about criminals, like living criminals. I should specify that. I wasn't worried about living criminals breaking in or anything like that, because when you walk in, there's a huge heavy door once you check in, and you have to have a passcode to get into it. They change the passcode every day at 10, and you have to go and prove that you're staying there to get the new code. And so you have to put that passcode in just to get up to the stairs. Then you go up the stairs, then you go to your floor, and then you need a key to get into your cell. So it's pretty secure. While it was a prison, though, they had solitary confinement, but it wasn't like now solitary confinement, which is bad enough. Like people go crazy from that now, and they literally just like leave you in a room, like with a bed, like by yourself.
Yeah.
Their idea with solitary confinement was called the hole, and no one wanted to go there because they only ever did this to men, apparently, which doesn't make it any better, but they would strip them naked and chain them face down on a cold stone floor, and then they would leave them there for 23 hours and 45 minutes and then give them 15 minutes to stretch before they either put them back that way or they would send them back to their cells, like depending on if their punishment was over. But basically you would be chained down the whole day, given 15 minutes to stretch, and then if you were still being punished, you'd be chained down again. Also, that was down in the basement, where they now have the Mugshots bar. Fun times. Also in the basement was where they had quarantine, and they would bring immigrants who came into Canada who they thought were diseased, and they didn't want them like mixing with other people. So they would take them from their version of our version of Ellis Island, which I don't remember what it's called. Gross Isle?
I have no idea.
I think. I don't know. No, that's something different. Either way, so they would take the immigrants they thought had diseases and they would leave them down there. And basically, all the people that died from their sicknesses because they were just left down there to see if they would survive or not, they all died. And like it was entire families. And people say that the energy from those families is still down there. And none of them were convicted criminals. They were just immigrants. They were just trying to come over for like a new life. Bro. Most famous case, and people talk about this guy's ghost because he's got a bone to pick. Because he supposedly is innocent. No one can prove it, but people really think that he was. His name was Patrick J. Whalen. He was from Galway in Ireland, but had immigrated to Canada. He lived by himself after he turned 14. Like, he lost his family, and then he moved to Canada. And then in 1865, he served in the military fighting against the Fenians, who were basically that time's version of the Irish Republican Army. So they were fighting against Britain wanting home rule in Ireland. But many people believed, even though he fought with the army against them, that he actually was on their side, and they were calling him like sympathetic to the enemy. And that's why he got a bad name for himself and kind of basically put a target on his back, because people are like, well, he's not really like fighting for the British. Like, he sympathizes with the Irish. Like, this guy's bad news. He lived in Buffalo, Hamilton, and Montreal before he was 27, and he settled down with a 57-year-old woman named Bridget Boyle.
Cute.
It was the Demi and Ashton of their time. They lived in Ottawa, and he worked there as a merchant tailor. They obviously had no children because she was 57,
Yeah.
but... Then in 1868, a journalist, also an Irish journalist, but he was like super, super like pro-Britain. He returned to his residence, and he couldn't find his keys. And as the owner of the boarding house opened the door to let him in, a gun went off in the darkness because it was like nighttime. He was coming home, and it hit him across the neck and killed him.
Wait, who?
This journalist, Thomas Darcy McGee. So he died like right there on Spark Street, and they said it was a .32 caliber pistol that shot him. 1800 or 1868. Not sure how they knew that specifically, but forensics, they were good at that. Anyway, so the Fenians were really like angry with him because he's this pro-Britain journalist, and he was getting really involved in like the British politics in Canada at the time. And so they suspected that it was someone involved with them that shot him, and he was their top suspect because he was the guy with the target on his back that everyone was like, well, he was a sympathizer even in the war, so it was probably him. But they had like mostly circumstantial evidence, and they found that he owned a .32 caliber pistol, but they had no way of like, it's not like now where you can take the bullets and compare them under the microscope,
right,
and that kind of thing. It was like, oh, well, he has a gun, so he probably did it. But they didn't look at anybody else. They were just like, this guy, we don't like this guy, let's take him in. Oh, look, he has a gun, let's convict him. So he was tried and sentenced, and he was sentenced to hang. So he was on death row.
To hang.
To hang.
To be hanged.
Yeah.
Hanged.
Apparently, when he walked out of the courthouse, he said, I am held to be a murderer. I am here standing on the brink of my grave, and I wish to declare to you and to my God that I am innocent, and I never committed this deed. On February 11th, 1869, in front of 5,000 people, he was publicly displayed and then hanged in the gallows of the Ottawa Jail. Fun fact, the gallows are still in the hostel, and they're still fully functional. Not that they use them, but you can go see them, and that's where he was hanged.
Mm-hmm.
So they say that a lot of people still think that he was innocent and he was wrongfully convicted and wrongfully killed, and they believe that he is the ghost that most people feel inside the cells when they stay on death row. There is a certain floor, and I wish I could tell you which floor it was, but I don't know.
But she can't.
I can't, because truth is, I kept missing the ghost tour when I was staying there, because I would go and have breakfast, and then I'd be like, oh, the tour's not till 11. It's fine. I've got time. I'll go shower. And then by the time I showered and like got ready, I'd be like, oh shit, I missed the tour. And this happened every day.
Every morning.
Every day for 5 days. So I never took the actual tour. I just did my own tour. So I don't know which floor was death row. But they say like you can stay in the death row cells. You can like specifically request that when you go there. I didn't. I was just like, give me a room. But it's considered one of the most haunted hotspots today. And they say that he will appear at the end of your bed and you can hear his footsteps and you can hear him crying. And there was a guy that I found on this website that gave his experience. He stayed specifically in Wayland's cell. He said, it happened during a bus tour over 10 years ago. We were staying in the Ottawa Jail, and close to midnight, we were wandering death row with a few others. Inside Wayland's cell, we set up the dreaded divination tool, the Ouija board, for clear communication with his energy. First mistake. The board was very active, clearly telling everyone that we were talking with Patrick Wayland himself. The question started out light. How was it like to live in the jail? And we asked him about his experiences. Then getting on the subject of McGee's death, that's when the room shifted. The air got really heavy, and everyone felt sudden discomfort. It was so palpable that we left and ended our unofficial investigation. So they freaked out and left, basically. Is what you're saying. So, yeah, apparently they have Ouija boards in the hostel. Again, I didn't see these. I probably would have messed with them if I was there. No, I probably wouldn't have. I'm just kidding. Anyway, so his cell is one of the most haunted spaces in Canada. They hear her noises at all hours. And they can see him walking the cell and the hallways around death row. And again, like, he stands at the end of people's beds. There's been other stories of people sleeping and they can hear what sounds like keys hitting the bars as they walk by, which people believe was like the guards.
Obviously.
Yeah. When you first walk into the hostel, like after you go through the big door to get to the stairs, there's no windows. It's just this like brick staircase. And the actual stairs are metal. And in between the stairs, connected is just this like cage, but it's like a metal netting. And basically that's put there to protect the guards because prisoners used to try and like attack them and like throw them over the stairs. So they put those there to like catch them. And yeah, I remember being like, is this for guard safety or prisoner safety?
I guess it could be for both. So like if they try to kill themselves, like the prisoners.
Yeah, exactly, to like prevent them from killing themselves. But then I was also like, given the time it was built, did they care about prisoner safety?
But like, because they wanted to torture them, they wanted them to like.
I guess, yeah.
Them to like end their life.
Yeah, they didn't want them to.
So
yeah.
They have no fun.
Take it away. Okay, so the hole. Back to the hole. A lot of psychics get drawn down to the basement, and apparently the cell that was the hole is near the laundry room. It's the only example left of where men were chained naked to the floor. And the rings used for the chains are still embedded into the stone ground. And they said, like, you can go in there and really feel the, like, torturous energy, like, and it's really, like, a negative energy. And they say, like, you don't have to be psychic to feel it. You can walk into that room and be like bad things happened here.
Why is that torture? Laying on the ground naked. I love doing that.
No, what? You're stripped naked.
So you're naked.
Put down on a cold stone floor, naked, and chained down there. So you can't move, you can't go to the bathroom, can't do anything. You're face down. Like that's horrible. All day.
But it doesn't sound like, it's like there's so many worse things that can happen.
And you're alone and you can't talk to anyone. You're alone with your own thoughts. Think about how scary that is.
Just like sing.
And they whip you. Keelan's like, defying gravity.
I would not sing that.
No. And they'd be like, what is this girl doing?
I'd just freak him out.
Keelan would be like, I need an exorcist. They probably wouldn't let you have one, though. So there's also the story of the vampire. which isn't exactly a story, but it's based around a mysterious note that they found in the secret staircase.
Which isn't a secret anymore.
Which isn't a secret anymore because they found it. Yeah. So the note said, I am a non-veridical vampire who will vanquish you all. One by one, I will ornate your odorous flesh with my famished fangs. But who? Are there 94 or 95 steps to the 9th floor? A book on the top shelf will lead you on the right path. And below the text was a circle with an inverted code that said S3A. So the mystery still needs to be solved.
This up?
Did anyone find this book on the top shelf and follow it?
And insert the code.
Apparently not, because it's still unsolved,
What's
as they call
stairs
it.
thing? What does that even mean? He's just wondering how many stairs there are. Are there 94 or are there 95?
Yeah.
I lost count.
There's no 9th floor, though.
Oh, okay.
That's what's weird.
Maybe there is. That's what he's saying.
Because there's 4 floors of cells, and then the basement. So there's 5 floors. There's also a main floor, though.
So 6.
So there's 6 total,
So you think.
I think.
But, like, if you go outside, is it taller than that?
No, like, if you look at it from the outside and you're judging on, like, the windows, you would say it's 4 floors.
But if you're not judging on the windows.
I'm trying to remember. So you walk in, that's the main floor. Then you go into the staircase, and then there's 4 floors, I think. And then there's the basement, which has the bar and the laundry room and the common room. So 6 max, but I think might just be 5. Like, the first cell floor might just be, like, the 2nd floor.
But if you look at it from the outside...
It looks like it has 4.
It doesn't look like there could be more?
No. Maybe 5, because you might see the basement. I can't remember.
But you're not going to see the basement. The basement's underground.
No, but it has windows, so you, like, see it, because you go upstairs to get to the first floor when you're entering. So you would see the basement windows below that. So it looks like there's 5, including the basement.
Like, that, even, like, not basing it off windows?
I'd still say about 5.
Obviously not.
But apparently there's 9, says the vampire. Anyway, they still don't know who it is. And some skeptics said they thought it was just a deep-thinking, living person attempting poetry.
Me.
What? Don't attempt poetry about being a vampire that's going to eat people and ask about steps to a floor that doesn't exist. It's just very confusing.
Artsy.
It's not artsy. It's just confusing and strange. Stop it. Anyway, so some of the rooms there are like the ones I stayed in, where it's more like a prison cell. There's just a cell door and like bunk beds. But they have like bigger rooms that they've like torn a bunch of cells down and then created them into like suites almost. And they're quite lovely looking inside.
Quite lovely.
Quite lovely looking. Yeah. So when I went there, I really liked it, but it was, I don't know, it was really quiet. Like eerily quiet. And like I said, it was really cold and damp. And I just always had this feeling, and I couldn't explain, just like this like eerie chill that I couldn't shake. And I never saw Waylon or anything, and bad karaoke drowned out any sounds that there might have been. But But I know a lot of people have been there and messed around with the Ouija boards and had experiences. So maybe it's just that I was like, please leave me alone. Please leave me alone. Please leave me alone. And then they did. And then I did have trouble sleeping though, the first like couple nights. And then like after that, I ended up so tired that I just like fell asleep, no problem. But yeah, I definitely recommend going there. It's a really interesting experience. And if you like ghosts walking around your beds and seeing functional gallows, this is the place for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. If anyone else has stayed there and has personal stories that they'd like to share about hauntings or experiences, please let us know.
Hit us up.
Hit us up on
Social media.
We have lots of it. Twitter, we are Girls GG Podcast. On Facebook, we're facebook.com/girlsghostandghouls. Thank you. Instagram is also girlsghostandghouls. And if you have any recommendations or any more stories like that, you can email us at girlsghostandghouls@gmail.com. Yeah. Did I miss anything? Oh, our website. You can also just go to our website. I'm confused. Yes, www.girlsghostandghouls.com. Yes. Also, we asked a couple episodes ago about anyone that had Ouija experiences that they wanted to share, because we didn't have any personal ones, and we were kind of debating whether or not we wanted to indulge, you know?
Yeah.
And we did. We got a response on Facebook, on our Facebook page.
I think so.
Yeah, from Kathy. Yeah, so I was just going to let you guys know what she said. She said she played with a Ouija board in middle school with some of her friends in the basement. And it was really scary experiences. It moved on its own. And they jumped up and turned the lights on. So they blew out the candles and got rid of the board. Then she said a couple years later, she got a waterbed for her 16th birthday.
Yes, what I've always wanted.
Oh my God, my dad used to have a waterbed.
I feel like I'd pop it. I'd be like, woo!
Actually, our cousin...
And then my room flooded.
Our cousin Nick used to have a waterbed, and he definitely did, like, puncture it. And there was, like, water.
Yeah, I remember laying on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, gosh. That was funny. Anyway, she got a waterbed for her 16th birthday and moved to the basement. And one night she woke up to find a black-clad demon at the foot of her bed. And she was so scared that she could only speak the Lord's Prayer and the 23rd Psalm.
I don't know what that is. I'm sorry.
After which she claimed the blood of Christ as her protection. And then she never saw it again. And then a year or two later...
Like, I know... Sorry, I'm just going to rewind. I know, like, what the psalm is. I just don't know which one that exactly
The 23rd.
is.
Yeah, I know.
Like, I know what that means.
You know what a psalm is. You just don't know what the 23rd one is. I got you. I know. Same. Anyway...
I couldn't even name any of them, honestly, but, like, I know what they are.
A couple years later, she was playing pool in the basement with her boyfriend.
Oh, lucky.
And she knocked the light, which looked like a ship wheel. And it had a very sharp pointed brass piece in the middle. And it was tightly fastened to the ceiling, but a few shots later, it landed right where her head had been seconds before. And Another One Bites the Dust was playing on the radio.
I like the Glee version.
Of Another One Bites the Dust?
Question.
And
why did you stay in the basement?
and she still stays in the basement. And she actually isn't sure if she has them reversed. So she's not sure if the pool thing happened before she saw the demon or if she saw the demon before the pool thing happened. But either way, it was terrifying. And she thinks that she first saw the demon and it got it to leave her alone. And that it maybe just had enough strength left to do the light thing and almost kill her with the spike that came down. Moral of her story was, do not play with a Ouija board ever.
Especially in middle school.
When you don't know what you're doing.
Middle school is awful. And high school is awful.
Okay, you simmer. Anyway, so thanks, Kathy, for that story.
That thing, yeah.
Because that was terrifying and amazing at the same time. And I may need a Ouija board myself to figure out what is haunting more. Because I need something to stop telling me to get out of my car.
Mom says it, tell it, no. You get out.
Yeah, her mom was like, just say, you get out. This is my car. And I was like, well, I didn't think of that at the time. I was freaking out.
I pay for this car, you get out.
Plus, it might not be in the car. It might be like...
But no beef.
And I told my friends, they were like, maybe it was a homeless person sleeping in the back of your car. I was like...
Or inside the car, like where the engine is.
I was like,
the radio
hey, I would have seen them.
There's so much stuff in your car.
I know, but I have all
under it.
But I have all the seats down.
Yeah, they're probably under the seat.
You can't be under the
They're
seat.
super skinny. They're homeless, Kira.
And it definitely came through the static, so whatever. Lies. Anyways, point of this story is if you guys have any scary personal experiences, Ouija or otherwise, please share them with us because we get a kick out of reading them.
Cake?
Kick, not cake.
Oh.
Stop thinking about food. Also, did I mention this at the beginning that we lied to you guys and we're not recording in our same place again today? I can't remember if I said that. Do you remember?
Why does that matter?
It doesn't matter. I just remember at the end of the episode, I was like, we'll be recording next week in our normal place. We're not. But that's fine. We're not in a tent in the middle of the woods. That's all that matters. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah, thanks for... I was going to say watching, but you can't see me.
Don't. I mean, watching the minutes tick by as we ramble. And I'm trying to do some research to find some scarier stories because so far, most of the ghosts that we've talked about or encountered haven't had any malicious intent. Really.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe a little bit in the Hellfire Club, but stop taking my necklace.
Yeah.
But otherwise, they've been pretty, like, just annoying and, like, giving you bad feels, but not actually, like, doing anything to you. So I'm going to find something that's going to scare us a little more. But yeah, like Key said, we're now on Spotify. If you want to listen to us there. We're also on Apple Podcasts, Castbox, TuneIn, Stitcher, and Google Podcasts. And also on Hang on a second. A few more places. Let me keep looking. So many places. Too many places. Just kidding. Never enough. We are also on Radio Public. And I think that's it. Yeah. So, obviously, you're already listening to us. But if you want to recommend us to anyone else or you want to switch players, you can listen to us on any of those places. And I want to thank everyone that has been listening and giving us their feedback and shout outs. It's so appreciated.
Yeah.
Key sounds really enthusiastic about it.
Yeah.
Also wanted to give a shout out to...
Me.
Why would I give you a shout out?
Tinky.
To Tinky? No, where is Tinky?
Outside.
Oh.
That's our homeless friend. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
It's our homeless friend that's living in my car and telling me to get out.
I'm just kidding. It's my cat.
Yeah, we let her out. I'm confused now. What was I saying?
Shout out.
Oh, yes. Okay. I wanted to give a shout out to Emma on Twitter at _EWMMA. She likes all our posts and responds and retweets a bunch of our stuff.
It's really kind.
It's really kind. We love it.
Makes me feel warm.
Thank you. It makes us feel loved and appreciated. And to everyone that's been following us on Twitter and sharing our content, thank you so much.
You're pretty cool too, I guess.
You guys are also all right, I guess.
Also average.
And Emma, we did get your recommendation for the Black Donnellys. And I will be looking more into that.
What's that?
I do know a little bit. Well, you'll find out.
Black Donnelly.
The Black Donnellys.
Oh, I was like, who's Black Donnelly?
Not to be confused with the television show, The Black Donnellys.
Donnelly, the black woman. Black Donnelly.
Why? That's not a thing.
I know, that's why I was confused.
I'm confused.
Mom texted me.
Anyway, this got out of control. But moral of the story is we love you guys for listening and for being awesome. So thanks. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.